Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking one of the absolutely most beloved stories in Hindu mythology, the birth of Ganesha. But, we aren't looking at this as some distant, unapproachable cosmic decree. Not at all. We're looking at it as a beautifully grounded narrative born entirely from a mother's love. Let's dive right in and see how the basic everyday need for a simple boundary literally reshaped the entire cosmos. There's this thought that says every love story, when it is real and deep, eventually creates something new. And that really sets the emotional stage for us here. We're talking about Shiva and Parvati, who had finally found each other again after lifetimes apart, building their life together on Mount Kailash. And it was wild, it was completely sacred, and it just felt right. Parvati tended gardens where impossible flowers bloomed the second she touched them. Shiva was meditating, sure, but not that heavy, searching kind of meditation. It was the light, easy meditation of a guy who's just content. Life was incredibly good. And you really have to picture the sheer wonder and divine maternal love Parvati brought to the mountain. It's the emotional anchor for our whole story. Before her, Kailash was basically just a freezing mountain of ascetic yogis. But with her, it became a real home, full of warmth, full of laughter, and yes, full of the joyful, absolute chaos of Shiva's followers, the Ganas. But within all this perfect, vibrant energy, a really quiet, kind of unsettling realization started brewing for Parvati. It really boils down to a super relatable, honestly very human problem: personal boundaries. Just compare Shiva's experience of the world with Parvati's desires. On one hand, Shiva's Kailash is literally an open-door universe. Sieges drop in uninvited, the Ganas are always tumbling about, gods just come and go. It's beautifully chaotic. But Parvati, she realizes she has absolutely zero privacy. No closed doors, no personal boundaries, no space that is just hers, and no guardian who answers exclusively to her. Even her own bathing chamber carved into the mountain isn't actually private. And that brings us to this incredibly grounded moment. Parvati tells her friend Jaya, "I love this life, but sometimes I would like a door." I mean, think about that for a second. The goddess of the universe, surrounded by ultimate cosmic power, just wants a closed door. Jaya actually laughs and gently reminds her of a pretty major truth. Parvati is the goddess of creation itself. If anyone can literally make something out of nothing, it's her. And it's that quiet desire for a simple door that sparks one of the greatest divine creations ever: a conscious, creative, maternal, active power. What happens next is absolutely crucial to understand. This was no accident. It wasn't some random byproduct of a magic spell. Parvati is Shakti, the living, breathing force of all creation. So she makes a deliberate, incredibly powerful decision. She's going to create life, specifically to fulfill her need for a guardian, for a son who belongs entirely to her. It's like watching a master artist at work, breaking down into 3 distinct steps. First, she takes the sandalwood paste used in her bathing ritual. But it's not just regular paste, right? It's from her own skin, so it literally carries her divine essence. Second, she shapes the form of a child with absolute certainty. And third, she breathes her own life right into him. And when the boy opens his eyes, he is beautiful. He's incredibly strong, and he is undeniably 100% hers. The bond between them is just instantaneous. Parvati looks at this boy with overwhelming love, tells him he's hers, and gives him his very first job: stand at the door of her bathing chamber and let absolutely no one pass, period. And the young Ganesha responds with complete, unwavering devotion. "No one shall pass, mother, I promise." He was literally just born, but he instantly gets his purpose and accepts it without a second thought. Well, as you might guess, things spiral out of control incredibly fast. Let's look at the timeline. Moments later, the Ganasas try to push past. Nope, he fights them all off. Next, the mighty bull Nandi tries to enter. The boy holds his ground. Soon after, word reaches Shiva himself. He comes home from wandering, completely confused, walks right up to the kid and essentially says, "I'm the lord of the mountain. Step aside." The boy is respectful, sure, but he's unmoving. He basically says, "You're great, but my mom gave me one rule, and I'm sticking to it." And then, the final escalation. A fatal flash of cosmic pride. When this totally unknown boy defies the Lord of the universe, something shifts in Shiva. It's the tragic flaw of the whole story. Instead of taking a breath, instead of recognizing Parvati's divine energy right there in the boy, Shiva's ego completely overrides his wisdom. It happens in a split second. He strikes a swift, terrible, fatal blow. and the devoted, brave boy falls. And then Parvati emerges. The silence that follows is the kind that makes entire mountains hold their breath. She doesn't rage, she doesn't scream or weep. She just goes very, very still. And in this heavy, slow whisper that carries the weight of everything she is capable of, she says, "Restore him now, or I will unmake everything." That is a mother's absolute grief. That stillness, that quiet threat, it contains a power far, far greater than any cosmic weapon. Shiva looks into her eyes, and he instantly realizes he messed up. Badly. This is non-negotiable. Parvati is literally ready to tear apart the very fabric of the universe for her son. And in that moment, Shiva feels a deep, profound, crushing regret. Driven by that intense regret, the path to restoration begins immediately. Shiva frantically orders his Ganas to head north and bring back the head of the very first living creature they find. They rush off, and they come back with the head of an elephant. With immense care, Shiva places it on the boy's form, and he breathes life back into him, mirroring exactly what Parvati did earlier. But when the child wakes up, he's not exactly the same. He's wider, he's wiser, he's ancient, and yet entirely new all at once. And here is the really beautiful part. Shiva doesn't just offer a quick apology. He elevates him. He names him Ganesha, Lord of the Ganas. And he says, every prayer, every new beginning, every threshold will pass through you first. This is absolutely crucial, guys. It isn't some consolation prize to calm Parvati down. Ganesha earned this through his unwavering loyalty and his ultimate sacrifice. It's the absolute truth. So why does this all matter to us today? Well, because Ganesha is present at every single new venture and threshold. He's the ultimate symbol of new beginnings. And his story is a beautiful reminder that love is deeply, inherently creative. Ganesha didn't come from a cosmic war. He came from sandalwood, breath, and a mother's need. Love literally builds exactly what the world needs next. Every time someone starts a new business or a new journey today and invokes his name, they're echoing that exact creative act of love on Mount Kailash. So, the family is complete. Shiva owned his mistake, Ganesha is restored. Or, so it seems. Because creation never actually takes a break. What happens when the cosmos desperately needs a warrior born of divine fire? Someone forged not from sandalwood, but from absolute cosmic necessity. Well, that is a massive cliffhanger, and we are going to unpack exactly how the gods handle a battle they simply cannot win without him in our next explainer. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.